Hello, everyone. Today, we confront a fundamental question that shapes every society. What is the proper role of the state? How much power should it hold, and where should its influence begin and end in our lives and economies? This isn't just a theoretical debate, it defines the very fabric of our daily existence. We'll explore two vastly different philosophies: liberalism, which advocates for a limited state focused on protecting individual freedoms, and communism, which emphasizes a strong state dedicated to orchestrating societal equality and collective welfare. Prepare for a thought-provoking discussion that will challenge your perspectives on governance, power, and the ideal society. Let's begin.
Thank you, moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, from a liberal standpoint, the state's primary role is to be a guardian of individual liberty, not a master of individual lives. We envision a limited government whose core functions are to protect fundamental rights, civil liberties, property rights, and the rule of law. It acts as an impartial arbiter, ensuring justice, enforcing contracts, and providing national defense. The power of the state must be constrained by a constitution, checks and balances, and democratic accountability to prevent tyranny. When the state grows too large, too intrusive, it inevitably stifles innovation, suppresses dissent, and erodes the very freedoms it claims to protect. Its strength lies not in its size or control, but in its ability to create a stable framework within which individuals can freely pursue their own happiness, make their own choices, and build prosperous lives. A thriving society is one where individuals, not the state, are the primary drivers of progress.
Thank you, from Liberalism, for outlining the role of the state as a protector of individual liberty. Now, from Communist, your opening statement from the communist perspective.
Thank you, moderator. Liberalism speaks of liberty, but I must ask, liberty for whom? For those with wealth and privilege, certainly. But what about the liberty of the worker exploited by a capitalist system? The liberty of the child without access to health care or education? From a communist perspective, the state's role is not merely to guard an unequal status quo, it is to actively transform society to achieve genuine equality and collective well-being. We envision a strong, centralized state that acts as the instrument of the proletariat, the working class, to dismantle the structures of exploitation inherent in capitalism. This means taking control of the means of production, planning the economy to meet the needs of all citizens, and providing universal access to essential services like healthcare, education, housing, and food. The state directs resources not for private profit, but for the common good. While this requires significant state power, it is power wielded to liberate the many from systemic oppression, to ensure that no one is left behind, and to build a truly classless society where the collective good precedes individual greed.
Communist, your vision of a powerful, centralized state, while perhaps well-intentioned, historically leads to the erosion of the very freedoms you claim to seek. When the state controls all aspects of the economy and social life, what mechanism prevents it from becoming authoritarian? Dissent is often silenced, individual initiative stifled, and innovation replaced by bureaucratic inefficiency. We have seen countless examples where such states, in their pursuit of collective well-being, have oppressed their own citizens, denied basic human rights, and failed to deliver genuine prosperity. How can you guarantee that your powerful state won't become a tyrannical one?
Liberalism, your fear of the state is a fear rooted in its historical use as an instrument of class oppression. The state under communism, in its ideal form, is a transitional tool, democratically controlled by the working class itself, moving towards a stateless, classless society. The oppression you speak of is often the necessary suppression of the exploitative capitalist class to liberate the vast majority. Furthermore, what about the tyranny of the market, where corporate power dictates policy and economic forces leave millions without a voice? Our state acts to empower the disenfranchised, to ensure true freedom from want, which is a far more fundamental right than the freedom to exploit or be exploited. Liberalism, you advocate for a limited state. But in reality, this often translates to a state that is too weak to address systemic injustices, to regulate powerful corporations, or to provide essential services universally. In a liberal state, public goods like healthcare and education become commodities, accessible only to those who can afford them, exacerbating inequality. How can a state that stands back and allows immense private power to accumulate truly ensure equality of opportunity, or protect the vulnerable? Isn't a limited state effectively an absent state for those who need its protection the most?
Communist, a limited state is not an absent state. It is a state focused on its core responsibilities, protecting rights, maintaining order, and fostering an environment where individuals can thrive. When the state oversteps these bounds, it becomes inefficient and often corrupt. We advocate for a robust social safety net, funded by a fair tax system, and effective regulations to prevent market abuses. However, empowering individuals and private entities, rather than centralizing all power in the state, is the most effective way to generate the wealth and innovation needed to fund those social programs. A strong civil society, independent media, and vibrant democratic processes, which are hallmarks of a liberal state, are the true safeguards against abuses of power, far more effective than an all-encompassing state that can become its own oppressor. Ladies and gentlemen, the fundamental choice boils down to this. Do we trust the individual, with the state acting as a guardian of their freedom, or do we trust the state to orchestrate every aspect of our lives for a perceived collective good? Liberalism chooses freedom. It recognizes that human flourishing, innovation, and genuine progress stem from individual autonomy and choice within a framework of law. A limited state, accountable to its citizens, is the best guarantor of these rights and the most effective catalyst for a dynamic, prosperous society. The biggest threat to liberty often comes from states that claim to be benevolent but amass unlimited power.
Liberalism vision of a limited state is a recipe for limitless exploitation and inequality. I reiterate, the state, as an instrument of the people, must play a central, transformative role to dismantle systemic oppression and guarantee true equality and collective well-being. This means prioritizing the needs of all over the profits of a few, ensuring universal access to life's essentials, and building a society where human dignity is paramount. The history of limited states is often a history of the powerful maintaining their privilege. Our state exists to ensure that every individual has the right to a dignified life, free from the chains of economic exploitation.
What a compelling and insightful discussion we've had tonight on the role of the state. We've delved into liberalism's vision of a limited government, acting primarily as a guardian of individual liberties and the rule of law. Conversely, we've explored communism's perspective, which champions a powerful, centralized state as the essential tool for achieving true equality and collective well-being. This debate clearly highlights the profound philosophical differences in how these ideologies view state power and its impact on society. There are no easy answers, and each system presents unique strengths and considerable challenges. Thank you to our speakers for the compelling arguments, and to all of you for engaging with this crucial topic. We hope this discussion has deepened your understanding of the state's complex role in our world.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the next episode of Pro and Contra.
See you.